continuing our road trip to Albany, and right here is Faddegon's. I was tipped off to this. Saw it on Google Maps, but also was just filming at another nursery, and they said you should stop at Faddegon's, which is like a greenhouse, garden center, and more of a lifestyle shop as well. So you'll see a lot of home decor, house plants, ceramics, things like that. So let's go check it out. They don't have much outside now because it's still early spring, so you got your hyacinths and your violas and some of your early spring blooming plants. As you can see, it's all about houseplants. So you see a little terrarium bar here. Basically, it looks like a little DIY living terrarium, so you can pick your terrarium plants, whether it's the Pelionias or the Sansevierias, the Tradescantias, and they have some display items here and some potting medium. There's a Spoma. They've been a really great partner with our channel as well. And then you see in here a lot of home decor. So I'm seeing this trend a lot in garden centers where they're more than just a garden center. It kind of extends into a lifestyle. So they have a lot of plant-related paraphernalia, if you will. Beautiful ceramics. And I love this where it's like only partially glazed, but then you have some of that raw terracotta and clay on the outside. It's gorgeous. These actually remind me of a number of European style bowls, mixing bowls. I actually have some of these in the meadow house where it has that green glaze. These are really precious. We'll check out some of their houseplants in here. They have a really nice, robust selection, as you can see here. Look at this platycerium right here. Not for sale. A lot of the older, more mature plants you would probably covet for being indoors are not for sale in many of these places, but sometimes they serve as mother plants. Then you have your Mimosa pudica. So just a little brush. No, it may have been touched a little bit too much. Farfugiums, which I never have grown as a house plant. I see these outdoors. I don't know if anybody has grown these as houseplants. If you have, let me know. I've never actually tried it in the house. Now look at this. This is so cool to see like the little flowers here. Nothing special, right? But you could see very traditional like urticaceous flower, which I usually never see these flowering, which is pretty neat. And then here are some Dracaenas and the Tradescantias, which this one has some nice variegation as well. And we saw this earlier in the terrarium plants. Phytonias, and you have a nice Billietiae here, an NFS sign, which means not for sale. So again, even though this is a really nice specimen, not for sale. And you have Marantas, Calatheas, Begonias, Pelionias, Saxifragas. So lots of nice small plants. Of course, violets in the Geranaceae family. Rhaphidophora tetraspermas, which were a plant of the moment a long time ago. And even some really beautiful orchids. So this is one of the dendrobiums. Let's see, Dendrobium latoria, it says. Orchids, you have your vanilla planifolia as a plain kind and a variegated kind as well. Here's some of the Easter cactuses. It's kind of related to a certain extent to the Christmas and the Thanksgiving, the Schlumbergeras. So this is in the genus Ripsaladopsis, but it's related because it's a cactus that is like a jungle cactus. Oxalis, which is understated houseplant, but it's one of the few that gives a really vibrant aubergine shade. And even here in this little corner, you have a number of plants that are maybe well suited for like a bog environment. So you have your Venus flytraps, you have your pinguiculas, which are the butterworts, you have your droceras, which are sundews. So typically these plants will want like a reverse osmosis water or more distilled water. Sometimes giving them something with, city water or even well water that has a lot of minerals may not actually do well with these plants. So something to consider if you're thinking about taking them in your house. And those are carnivorous plants, so they will eat insects. Oftentimes, if you have fungus gnats in the house because you overwater your plants, you will often find the fungus gnats on the butterwort. It's like a living, sticky fly trap. Here are some of the platyceriums that you can purchase. They're mounted really nicely. And it seems like over here is more of your philodendrons, your rhapidophoras, your monsteras. You even have some of the Thai constellations, very small ones. And then your Epipremnum Cebu blues. Nicely grown out. Your Begonia maculatas. Syngoniums, which have had their moment as well. They come in a tremendous amount of colorways. They kind of vine and creep all over the place. Now we've been seeing a lot of pink princesses. The one that I had just recently seen in Tioga Gardens, it looked different. And I think somebody said that it looked like a pink princess galaxy, which it had like splotches of white on it, but it looked like it was completely color washed in magenta. So this looks like a straight up pink princess. Then you have some gloriosums, very young ones. But nice velveteen sheen on these, especially as they get older. Speaking of velveteen sheens, the varicosums right here, which when we were in Costa Rica, I would often see them kind of clambering and crawling all on the forest floor. And just a nice range of pink princesses here to get you started off. And this one looks like a straight up Arabescens. Snake plant corner. So you have all different cultivars of snake plants, some of the easier plants to grow indoors. They do like some light, not necessarily direct light, especially if they were grown under shade cloth or in a shadier part. I've found through trial and error, if you move a plant like this that was growing in shade and then you push it out into full sun, it will get burned. And speaking of wonderfully easy plants to grow, a lot of the pothos plants, or the epipremnums, are quite enjoyable to grow. They're usually pretty full. You could cut them back. They propagate very easily. And then you have like some of the syndapsis. This is called silver satin, and this is more of the traditional kind. Large leaves on these silver satins. I can't remember the scientific name. I think this is called kangaroo paws. So you can see that they have like these little rhizomes that skirt all over. Very similar to how the rabbit's foot fern grows, but you could see how you could grow them in these hanging baskets with just this coconut coir fiber and even some substrate on inside, and they'll just kind of grow very nicely. If you get some overhead light, you could get this nice rounded habit. A lot of ficus. This is one of Chad Husby's favorite plants from Fairchild Botanic Gardens. He has a place in his heart for ficus. And then here are some syngoniums that have these color splotches. This is called milk confetti as a cultivar. And then these are ophilandras. They don't tend to mature well. They're very nice as a small plant, but they can get leggy, almost like an aglaonema. This is snow white, but the normal ones are generally a little bit greener, and then they'll have a yellow flower, a little yellow inflorescence that they'll stick out from the top, which is quite an interesting looking flower. Scheffleras right here, which will grow up into large trees, very nice. And then some olives, which in this climate, in a zone 4, 5, 6, you have to take these indoors. But I think they have such a beautiful hue. They have that verdigris, kind of blue-green hue. I really wish they were hardy to our outdoors, but and they are challenging to grow indoors as well because you need quite a lot of light. But I often overwinter them indoors and then stick them outside as well, which a lot of houseplants actually enjoy, as long as you don't give them too much bright light, because then they'll the leaves will start to turn brown and they may fall off. Here's some more Tradescantias. Again, these kind of clamber all around. In Costa Rica, we are seeing these, and they kind of serve as a nice ground cover. If you're growing a large plant, like let's say a ficus, you could always plant this in and around the ficus. So you have these different layers that are growing in your house. Make the pot look a little bit more full. Here's a proper, like, mature olive tree right here. They even have some succulents back here. So you could see some kalanchoe. Mother of thousands is what this is often called. And then you have just your typical aloe vera, which is probably a good plant to have around your house, especially as you're moving into spring and summertime. Hoyas, which are always quite popular. This looks like a fungii. And then this looks like Endauensis. I like how the leaves are scalloped along the edge of this Hoya Endauensis. Now, Hoyas often get stuck in with the succulent plants, like the desert succulents, but I've found that these should be grown with a little bit of shade, not full sun. And when we went to Thailand, we saw one of the largest Hoya collections in the world, and they were growing under 50% shade there. Of course, like, Thailand is pretty close to the equator, so it gets a bit more sun than here. Here's Hoya villosa. I found these to be more challenging to propagate. Any of the ones with hair on could easily rot. So giving it the proper conditions for propagation is key. And some of your typical crimson queens. And then here are your carry eyes, which during Valentine's Day, they become popular gifts because they look like little hearts. Here's another type of Schefflera, really full. A good choice if you want something that looks like a shrub or a tree in your house as well. And oh man, I used to have one of these. This is what they used to be called Aralias, but I think they got changed. This one also says Aralia, but I think it got changed into a different genus. And one of my friends had a really tall one, and it had scale, and eventually succumbed to scale. I had to get it out of my house, but it flowered for her, and I'm sad to say that I had to get rid of it, so it passed away on me. But it's also another really beautiful plant. For those of you who have like a little bit more goth style plants, because of the black and purple, And it also has this like filigree lace-like leaf, which is really pretty. Some more cacti and succulents. This one seems to be like a really fuzzy type, and look at that, it's flowering. Wow, look at these. Pediolanthus or euphorbias with the zigzag stem. And you have some lithops, living stones. They have some really beautiful specimens here. I mean, these are quite large. And it looks like they're for sale too, so. This is a myrtillo cactus. Oftentimes with these type of cacti, you'll start to see ones that get more monstrose or cristate. This one they say is a booby cactus, but I don't know. I think mine looks a little bit more boobalicious, so I'm not sure if this is the same as the normal booby cactus. And then some of your bromeliads. They have just about everything in here. It's a really nice collection of houseplants. So if you're passing through the Albany area, I would definitely check out Faddegon's. It's really nice to see a nursery that's been around for so long, and I'm sure it's evolved over that course of 105 years. Obviously they offer more than plants. You see the home decor, and in a couple weeks after spring is really sprung, you'll start to see a lot more outdoor plants as well. So yeah, check it out if you're passing through. It's a great little shop. If you're keen on meeting new plant friends in real life and seeing plants in nature, then consider joining us on one of our group botanical tours in 2026 and 2027. We'll be heading to Japan, Costa Rica, and Colombia. Spots are still available, so check out each trip over at homesteadbrooklyn.com/botanical-tours or see the link in the description below. We'll see you in the next episode.